Do you have a favorite old t-shirt that's on its last days like mine? Stay tuned because we're going to turn this t-shirt into this tank top. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss out. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of James Makes Clothes. As I said before, we are taking one of my old, most favorite t-shirts and we are going to turn it into a Racerback tank top. I have one already that I'm going to copy. I'm not going to go through the big labor. This is the one I'm copying. I'm not going to go through the labor-intensive process of developing a paper pattern and putting it onto my sheet t-shirt. Because I already have this, I'm going to just basically mark on myself with this t-shirt. So you're going to see how I do that. If you don't have one of these, if you don't have a favorite tank top, or if you want to design something new, you can do that. I'm going to walk you through that process as well. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe and stay till the end of the video because you'll have a new upcycled t-shirt or tank top from one of your favorite old t-shirts that, you know, might be on its last days. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in a bit. So like I said before, I have one of my favorite old t-shirts. It's on its last leg. I mean, the neck banding is coming off. So I'm going to turn it into a Racerback tank top. And I have an example of one here that I'm going to actually use. And this actually has a finished edge. So in this video, we're going to take this t-shirt, we're going to turn it into a Racerback tank top, and then we are also going to finish the edges so it won't be a raw seam. And you'll be able to copy this exact method at home and create your own upcycled t-shirts from your old wardrobes or from thrift store finds. So thank you so much for watching and stay tuned. Shirt. So first, there's my copy that I want. You can do it without a copy, but sometimes if you have something that fits well, you have less room for error, like cutting it too big or cutting the neckline out too far. I've done it before, and then all of a sudden you're left with half a shirt. So first what we're going to do is fold this completely in half, but in the center front. So the best way to do that is to line up the seams, because this is a super stretched out t-shirt. So I don't know exactly where it's symmetrical, but matching up this the shoulder seams helps. Okay. All right, everyone. So we are doing a tank top. So first thing we're going to do is cut the sleeves off. The sleeves we're going to have to use to finish our neckline and our sleeve. So make sure you conserve as much fabric as you can. Save the sleeves, put those aside. All right, now we're in business. Fold the shirt in half, but if your shirt is totally warped like mine, you're just gonna have to match the side seams up and then lay it out flat, because there's no way this thing is so stretched out. Okay, line up the seams like that. We really want to make sure it's properly folded in half, because if it's not, it will not be symmetrical when we go and put it on. Let's pin these sides together because we're going to have to do a lot of moving and shifting in order to get our side to lay flat. When you're laying your t-shirt out flat, try not to stretch it too much. Get your weights. Okay, so we got to weigh down the one side. Get this side weighed down too, because there's so much warping in this area that I need the part weighed down so that I can move it around and shift it. Your option would be, like you could cut the side seams, but I don't really want to give myself extra work. This is a super warped, messed up t-shirt, I tell you. I'm really it's like super twisted. You can see all these lines right here. It's been washed a few times. Let's see, we're working with upcycled clothes, right? So, okay, let's just go for it because it's lined up. All right, so take your tank top, fold it inside out. Remember, we need to keep in mind seam allowance. So when you're laying it on top, you match it to the side seam. This is the high. This point right here where the seams, the armholes meet each other at the neckline is called the high point shoulder. Okay, so to make sure you have an accurate measurement in the neckline, we always do it from the high point shoulder. Same within the back. Place the high point shoulder on the high point shoulder. So basically where the two shoulder seams meet at the neckline. Lay it down as flat as you can again. And that gives you an idea of how low we're gonna go with the neck. We're just gonna make sure that we have the depth in the front, the center front, and we know, I like a rotary cutter here. This t-shirt fabric is super flimsy. We want our tank top strap to be right here. We don't want it to be way over here, otherwise our tank top is gonna be falling off of us. So remember, seam allowance, always have to factor in. You don't cut it right at this line here because this is the sewing line. So you find out your line, trace it out, and then add the seam allowance after to factor that in. So I'm just marking. This is a rough guide. Now you can take a curved ruler, or you can freehand it if you want to really make sure you have a nice sharp cutting line. Let's show you what that looks like on a curved ruler. There, okay. So before we cut it, make sure that the seams line up at the neck. Make sure the neck lines up really nice. And again, check to make sure this is at a 90-degree angle. So with a rotary cutter, I can just go in and I don't have to shift it around too much. Done. Pin this. It's super flimsy now because we've removed the neckband and my fabric is like about to shred open, which is why I love it. I love, like, this is why I wanted to make or save the t-shirt, right? Because the t-shirt fabric is super drapey and almost see-through, but it's harder to work with. Same thing applies to the back. Make sure it's super in half symmetrical, which, you know, it'll be a lot easier this time because we've lined up the shoulder seams, we've pinned the sides together, so all we have to do is straighten it out and make sure it's not all warped and weird. If you remember when we tried this tank top on, my neckline was more stretched out and it was actually lower than the neckline on the garment. So because of that, I'm not gonna like spend a bunch of time measuring or anything. I'm just gonna remove the banding and the tag. So we're just gonna cut that off and we're gonna match it to the high point shoulder line from previous, and we're just gonna call it a day. Make sure the seams line up perfectly. And let's just, you know, these rotary cutters are so good for this. Probably have to use my right hand. There, done by tag. Okay. Now for the super fun part, or should I say the super hard part, is the sleeve. Now we have to cut the armholes, so we're going to fold the side seams together, pin them to secure, And then we're going to line up the front armhole and the back armhole, as well as the shoulder seam. We're gonna try and pin all those up and line them up as best we can. And then we're gonna use our original tank top as the outline for our new armholes. Fold the shirt in half. Lay it on the center front now that it matches, right? So we just lay that there because it matches. The weight's on the side you don't want to move. Put your t-shirt on, tank top. Let's start marking. Okay, so the way that my tank top is, if I just roll that out, that's just going to give me an idea of where the seam allowance is. The seam allowance typically is 1/4 inch. So on your tank top, if you are doing it right along the sewn edge, just do it, just eyeball 1/4 inch out away from the edge of your tank top that you're copying. So move everything in one piece like that. Okay, so there's the armhole, there's the side. See, if I haven't left, my hand has not lifted off this part. This part I don't want shifting around because I've just traced it. And so just follow that down. Dun, 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 dun. Perfect. Lift it off. Cut it out. So you can cut it and pin it before you move it. Keep these cut pieces, we may need them. Put your weight down. Oh, we're doing it, we're doing it. Let's do this, right? We need this to be flat so we can measure it. It's just a little challenging. There we go. Get that nice and flat. Okay, so see what's happening? Because the neckline on my tank top's smaller than the neckline on my t-shirt, I'm just gonna match it up with the strap like so. I'm gonna ignore that part and continue on marking where the strap is and continuing this down, because guess what, it's my tank top. I can do what I want with it. It doesn't have to match it exactly. This is I'm maintaining this 1 inch or 1.5 inch difference all the way around in order to cut. So this t-shirt is probably going to be really revealing, basically. So whatever you need to do to get the underarm part flat, so you continue on tracing it. And my side seams are pinned together, so that's really nice. Make sure it just lines up with the armpit. We're just gonna mark it, cut it out, and hope for the best. There are my chalk lines. They might be hard to see on camera, but okay, we have cut that up, but we're not done yet, so stay tuned. Okay, so I've pinned all the armholes. This is my tank top here. I put that aside. We're going to press out our sleeves, and then we're going to cut thin strips. So, well, they have to be at least, they have to have 1/4 inch seam allowance. So they have to be more than 1/2 inch. So let's just do 3/4 inch strips and see how many strips we get. But first we're gonna press our sleeves. Okay, so grab your quilting ruler, lay your sleeve out as straight as you can. Super warped. Okay, let's just get this off. This is not helping us in any way. Okay. 3/4 inches. That means that it's just going to be a 1/4 inch edge, and that's okay. I need to conserve as much of this t-shirt fabric as I can, this sleeve. So what we're going to do with these strips is we're going to sew them all together and make one long continuous one. We're going to use that for our edged finish, and hopefully we're going to start with our neckline, and if we run out or if we don't think we're going to have enough for the sleeves, we'll just do a roll hem on the sleeves. Okay everyone, I sewed all these into strips. I just used my serger. They're not, you know, it's not perfect, whatever. I got a lot out of it. So we're going to this is my neckline strip. So I got a separate one for my neckline, and this is for my armhole. So let's go over and serge that together. I'm using a 3-thread serge. This is a 5-thread serger, but I've disabled the chain stitch option, and I'm using the 3-thread serge seam. So that's 1/4 inch. So if you remember back, my bias tape measurement is 3/4 inch. So I'm really going to have a very small amount of edge on my neckline. However, that will secure, well, that will strengthen and reinforce the neckline so it doesn't all stretch out and everything. So watch the high-speed version of me serging and stay tuned to the end so you can see the reveal. Okay, so you saw the high-speed demo of me serging. That was a 1/4 inch seam, and this is the result. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so this t-shirt's quite used, it's quite old, and so the serged neckline addition of the tape helps to secure the neckline, and you can see up close here, it's just got a nice raw edge. I'll just zoom in on my body here, but yeah, you can see up close, it looks quite nice, and I'm really happy with it. So thanks so much for watching, and check out all my other tutorials on sewing, design, and clothing upcycling.